Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Hakakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles and bishops of Great Stone, to the Akim Akwaf, throughout the four corners of the earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth to the gospel of the Lord Amashak Yahushai these days and times, with sincerity of heart and mind. This is Brother Menashe of DC Camp. Short lesson for the hopeful elect. Years, so a lot of people are following the drama taking place in the U.S. government as per the shutdown, and it's keeping them on an edge since their bag, their sustenance, their so-called livelihood is all tied up in the system. And when workers, laborers get furloughed, they start having concerns about how to stay afloat, how to stay above water, how to stay out of the red, and they begin to have anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and drunkenness, drug abuse, and all that stuff. So you just have to be cautious, man. This is a dire moment when people will be going like sparks off the rail, man. So you just gotta be cautious how you interact with people, because a lot of folks that got used to that secure line of so-called employment, now they realize that the show is coming to a close, and they feel the boots on their neck. And it's all spiritual, it's all part of prophecy. So we just have to prepare accordingly. All right. So the system of Esau has to transition, into darkness. So it's reached its height of greatness, and it's time. It's time. This is the highest. This is the peak at which Esau could ever achieve, and he's already past his peak. All right, now it's just nothing but outright expression of tyranny. Now they have to push hard for censorship and the destruction of the Constitution. All right, so let me not ramble on too much. Just got a couple of scriptures to read through. It's going to be from the book of Joel. Joel chapter 1 and 10. And what does it say? The field is wasted, the land mourneth, the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up, the oil languisheth. So that's a symptom of failing economy, right? And the farmland is becoming an abandoned property due to the lack of brotherly love, due to the lack of righteousness. It becomes evident that the system was meant to collapse internally, so it's just how it is. When the laborers are not on the field, what do you think is going to happen to the harvest? So everything is just going to languish out there, man. So the concern is not really to keep the people healthy and well fed. The decision has been made, to tear down the so-called fabrics of society, and that's what these politicians are doing, and they're doing a good job. They're following the so-called master plan of their big donors. All right, so it's going to be rough for a lot of people that depend on government assistance, not that's for employment or food stamps and all that stuff, benefits. So I'll play this clip and then you have an idea what these folks are talking about, in front of the camera.
Day 9 of the federal government shutdown and the frustration building.
You could easily sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing yourself right now.
Instead of negotiating behind closed doors, lawmakers are interrupting each other in the hallways.
Reopen the government so we get back to work. That's great.
Yeah, so when they characterized as lawmakers, what does that mean? That means the law is no longer functional when you have a breakdown in society. It means the law is no longer what the law was meant to be. It's turned into something else. So it's becoming a so-called one-way street on the path to decline. So when folks claim to be so-called educated and the value of corruption becomes so attractive to them, this is what you get. So when you understand the flesh, you understand the flesh, you understand corruption, you understand iniquity, then you have an idea of why you have a dysfunctional government. All right, with these Edomites, and there are people that partake of Esau's so-called government system. They can also attest to it that the whole system is just bent on going downhill. All right, Capitol Hill is going downhill, so it's just a matter of time that it's gonna get ugly. All that so-called fist bumps is gonna turn into punches and knockouts and elbows, just like you see in those Eastern European countries, throwing blows and choking each other out, kicking and fighting. It's coming here, so it's only a matter of time. You're gonna you're gonna have to sit back and say, well, hey, the Lord has to shake things up. So this is just a prelude to that.
It just keeps on moving.
With heated public confrontations.
You know what I have to say.
Oh, I'm listening.
So why
Go
don't you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
All this while the impact spread all over the country. The IRS announcing it would furlough close to half of its workforce as its operation grinds to a halt. It's a double whammy for IRS employee Sterling Price, who's also a veteran and relies on the VA for health care. He's worried any small emergency could put him in a dire financial situation.
When I was filling up with gas earlier today, I'm just watching the ticker go up on it. And as it's going up, I'm thinking, okay, well, that is just gone.
The problems are also mounting in the skies. At Washington's Reagan National Airport, the FAA is delaying flights because of air traffic controller.
That's one of the reasons a lot of people don't want to leave the military, man. They rather stay in there and just go full-blown career, career mode, because they want so-called protection, of their so-called livelihood. So they rather ride the train, climb the ladder all the way to the top. So you can see that when folks get tired of politics and they understand the situation, they just go along with, their sure banker, man, which is the so-called military-industrial complex, and they just roll with it to the end, So, different strokes for different folks, man, because these politicians, their job is to be salesmen for the elites, and it's only a matter of time, they're going to have to decide how they're going to, split the cake, how they're going to divert the funds. That's all it is, man. It's a fund diversion operation. So you just have to be aware of that. So Amos chapter 3 verse 3 says, can two walk together except they be agreed? And that's a question you have to ask every day, man. So the government is basically moving away from the desires of the people. So the crumbs that are given the people is not even a valuable topic to focus on anymore, man. Because if it was that valuable, you wouldn't have this situation arising in the first place. So you could see that the people is not a priority. You know, the people are not a priority, and at the end of the day, man, you know, they're gonna have to explain to the people what the situation is all about. So when the people follow the money, then they realize, you know, something else is going on, and you know, it's gonna get ugly sooner or later. You know, you just have to pray that you don't get caught up in that whirlwind of civil uproar. Okay, the uproars of the people is brewing. You can hear the murmurings, people complaining about the benefits, senior citizens worried and all that stuff. So workers are concerned about being furloughed, folks working without being guaranteed they will have to receive some payment for their services. So that's the reason why, you know, the Lord Mashiach Yahushai has to pull Esau out of the picture frame, man. You know, and send him to the dump, you know, the dump yard of history, the dump yard of prophecy. All right. So we just have to be aware of how the Lord is preparing, you know, the downfall of Esau before the whole world. So we're going to read again from the book of Exodus. You know, Exodus chapter 23. And we're going to read from 21 to 22, I believe. Yeah, actually I'll start from 20. Alright, this concerning how the Lord Mashiach Yahushai would advocate for us and stand, you know, as the, you know, the seal of our faith against our enemy. So Exodus chapter 23 verse 20, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. All right. So, you know, it's a preparation, man. You know, the spiritual preparation is what we're really concerned about. Because when the time comes for that physical preparation to take place, man, you're going to see some things before that, all right? Verse 21 says, beware of him and obey his voice, provoke him not. So this is our forefather Moses talking about Hamashiach Yahushai, you know, that he is to be revered and, you know, also worshipped. For he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. All right, so that's just how it is, man. He's going to bring judgment. That's what Yahushua is going to do. You know, he has to bring judgment upon the earth. And you already see the judgment in Edom's kingdom. You know, the spirit of dissent is just gaining so much traction. And it doesn't matter how much they try to promote the effectiveness of legislators and donors and the economy. It's not reaching the people that really need it the most. Okay, so the spirit of bitterness will come upon them. You know, they're going to be swallowed up in the spirit of bitterness, the wine of bitterness. All right. And then verse 22 says, but if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. So all these political acrobatics, political chess they're playing, it's just going to make things worse and worse and worse. Because at the end of the day, they're not really fooling the people, they're fooling themselves. And it becomes a nightmare for them that they can no longer sustain the fraud and cruelty of their actions, and they're going to do everything they can to suppress the people's demand and the horns are gonna come out, man. You know, when you have two beasts going at it, head to head, horn for horn, and all that stuff, it's gonna be chaotic. So that's the reason why, you know, you're gonna see certain events take place to reveal, you know, the actions, the intentions of these so-called civil servants, which are not really serving the people. All right.
Shortages. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, another vote in the Senate to open government failed, and Republicans won't entertain talks on health care until Democrats agree to a short-term spending plan.
They're trying to lie to the American people. They're trying to play politics with government funding, and real Americans are being harmed.
But Democrats, even moderate ones like Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan, remain united that health care negotiations need to begin now. Why do you think moderate Democrats like you have held firm and have insisted that these negotiations need to start?
What am I supposed to say when someone calls me crying that they're not going to be able to afford their health insurance, that I'm just going to roll over and not negotiate?
And the next pressure.
Yeah, so there's nothing to negotiate, man. You know, there's nothing to negotiate, you know, when it comes to the lives of people. You know, the same folks that pour so much money into all this foreign aid to the so-called state of Israel, they don't have that same enthusiasm to do the same for the American people, man. You know, there is no machine, man, no lobbying machine to uplift the American people. You know, it's just one sad episode after another. Even when you listen to the C-SPAN radio show online or on TV, you hear the callers calling, you hear their frustration, you hear their political synopsis and all that stuff. You know, you don't have no hope in the system. Even though folks that drank the Kool-Aid are beginning to see that there is no hope, that the whole system is corrupt from the inside out, and that these politicians have no desire to turn things in the right direction. So when the economy fails and folks don't have anything to rely on, you know, the animal in them is going to return. Okay, so it's going to be bad for the politicians anyway. So there is no doubt about that, and they have to, you know, live with the consequences, you know, of partaking in the jungle. You know, when you become a part of the jungle, you play by the rules of the jungle. You know, that's it. There's no other way out, man. You gotta go out by the laws of the jungle, and that's what these politicians have decided to go along with. All right. So the people are gonna treat them like beasts. All right. So it's only a matter of time that you know, the Lord will allow that jungle mindset mentality to be unleashed. So the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and 18, what does it say? For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So that spirit of fear, the spirit of incompetence, the spirit of anger, frustration, the spirit of greed, they're all going to clash together, man. It's going to be a clash of spirits, you know, and that's going to turn this place into a nightmare for a lot of people. And, you know, a lot of folks are going to get run over. They're going to get steamrolled over by the system. You know, the system's going to have an internal friction. You know, when you have all the gears in the machine and there's no lubricant to keep the machine flowing properly, it's moving, you know, in tunnels, rotating properly, all you're going to keep hearing is just the sound of metals grinding against each other. You're going to start having heat and sparks. Before you know it, everything's going to overheat and fall apart. All right? So that's just how America is becoming on a daily basis, man. The gears of America is just overheating and just falling apart. There is no there is no solution to cool it down, man. There is no solution to cool it down. So you might as well just let the system fall apart. So you just have to realize that it's a matter of time.
Point for lawmakers could come October 15th. That is the first day where military members could miss their first paycheck. There is some talk about a sidecar piece of legislation that would ensure they would get paid, but even that has not seen any real progress of becoming a reality. Savannah?
Ryan Noble's on the Health Force. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, so that's what you have to remember, man. You know, it's Esau's system is not sustainable because it's not built upon the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Hashem Shai. And there is a price to pay for not accepting the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Hashem Shai. All right. So I get a precept from the book of Psalm, chapter 10. Psalms chapter 10, verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after Yahweh Hashem Shai B'Hashem Kakadash. The Lord is not in all his thoughts. So this is just what happens, man. You know, it becomes a burden just to make the right decision. You know, there is no urgency to meet the people halfway. In fact, the point of their needs, man. You know, it's just total chaos, man. You know, total chaos. It's total disaster after disaster after disaster. You know, the government is efficient when it comes to dispossessing people of their property. All right, so that same mindset, that same vibration is spreading, and you know, when the chaos hits the wall, it has to bounce back. You know, it has to bounce back in the face of the folks causing the chaos. So this is just the spark that is just gonna keep on adding and adding and adding to the situation until the pot boils over. All right. So that's the summary of this lesson. You know, you should be glad, you know, about the Lord allowing us to see the gravity of his words, his prophecy come to pass. And you know, it's gonna be painful because you have to learn how to win yourself off the system. You know, because you spend so much time here in Babylon that you can only use the word of the Lord to detach yourself psychologically from it, man. You've already known the depths of the wickedness of this place, so it's time to let it go and move on, man. You know, don't get tied up with this system. You know, whether it's your so-called employment, depending on the government staying open and all that stuff. You have to learn to walk away psychologically, spiritually from it, and that's the reason why you have the words of the Lord of Mashiach Yahushai, because hey, he's about to close down this operation of Esau. So that's the summary of this lesson. Bashmashai, Braktam, Bashum Kakadash, you know, keep you situated and focused on building your faith up in truth and sincerity. Shalom.